The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You got Melissa DeRosa on the phone, and let's see what she has to say. You heard all the yelling and screaming in the studio, Melissa DeRosa?
I did. I wish
Tell
I
us
was
the
there
truth.
with you guys.
What the hell's going on?
Well, on this Mamdani thing, I mean, in his reaction to the protest, it was just completely disgraceful. And the guy really is the arsonist who then tries to sometimes pretend to be the fireman. And the entire thing would be funny if the consequences weren't so serious. Because I believe that Zohran Mamdani, who himself, he fancies himself an anti-Zionist and anti-Israel activist, when he stands at a podium and he's the mayor of the city of New York and he says he stands by the protesters who are saying Israel doesn't have the right to exist, but then wants to pretend that he simultaneously is against anti-Semitism, these are the things that fuel anti-Semitism. We have schools, Jewish schools around the city that have swastikas that are painted on them. We have Jews in the city who are being bullied, harassed, threatened as they're walking into their houses of worship, as they're walking into their schools. And how are they supposed to believe that the mayor, who is supposed to represent everybody, is actually doing that, while at the same time he is feeding into the rhetoric that is feeding anti-Semitism in this city, in this state, and in this country.
Well said.
So I just thought the whole thing was disgraceful.
By the way, we have some breaking news about clearly well beyond anti-Semitism.
Breaking news, WABC.
Just coming in, a U.S. government watchdog, Melissa and the guys, has found that at least 4 more staffers for the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Aid Agency, remember UNRWA that we heard so much about? Turns out that 4 more of them, quote, played a role in kidnapping Israelis and aiding Hamas on the October 7th, 2023 attack. Remember, originally we had heard that maybe 1 or 2. Now it turns out there are 4 more. I mean, this is disgusting, Melissa, and this is a UN group that was supposed to be helping Palestinians, but they're saying they played a direct role in these attacks. That's disgusting.
No, and sadly, I'm not surprised by it. I mean, how long did it take some of these international peace groups to condemn and acknowledge, first acknowledge and then second condemn the rapes that were going on October 7th? And so, I mean, these people have found their way, seeped into the systems, internationally, nationally, at the city level. They're working in City Hall, people who support these terrorist groups, people who condone things like globalize the Intifada, condone things like Israel shouldn't exist. And all of this feeds anti-Semitism, and it's a problem and it needs to be rooted out.
The other big issue, of course, is cost. And by the way, here's another interesting update for everybody who's transiting and planning to go to the World Cup.
Breaking news, WABC.
NJ Transit has just lowered World Cup train tickets from New York City to MetLife. But get this, guys, it's still up 800%. It's still a whopping amount.
800%. What's the real number now?
Well, now the price is set, John, it was $150. Now it's set at $105. So that's still a lot. A bargain.
A bargain.
But it just goes to show.
But I don't want to be anywhere near New York City when this happens. There's so much hype around all of it. We're all going to be inundated with tourists and not be able to move around anywhere.
Yeah, they got to pay us, right, to stay away, right?
Exactly.
What do you think, Melissa? Let's get into some of the what's going on, the back and forth with Albany too, because in the middle of all of this, Hasty comes out, first Hochul comes out and says, we have a deal. And it includes, as Ed was just mentioning, that the second home, the Pia de tax, that's in the discussion. Hochul. Yes, Hochul.
Hochul said it.
Hochul, excuse me, Hochul. Right. And she presents that. And then suddenly Hasty comes out, of course, the assembly speaker, and says, no, we don't have a deal. But it looks like Hochul is agreeing to this second home tax. That's what drove out Ken Griffin, the big hedge fund guy, and many others, it looks like.
No, I mean, she's completely flip-flopped on that position. And what's going on up in Albany is really we are back to the dysfunction of the bad old days. I remember when I was growing up, my dad was a lobbyist, and like over the summer, we would be, in August, we would be doing sports when they're coming back into school preseason. And my dad would be like going back and forth from our games to going to the Capitol because they were still doing the budget in Albany in August in the 90s.
I was there, Melissa.
Yes, exactly. So you remember the good old, bad old days. And watching what's going on up in Albany right now, I mean, it's dysfunction like we haven't seen since before Andrew Cuomo was governor. And so, and by the way, people don't care, which is even scarier because it's like once you stop caring and believing that government either can affect your life in a positive way or hold your elected officials accountable, that's when things really go sideways. But no, Hochul came out this morning. It was like a comedy of errors. She does this big press conference. She leaks to the press that there's a budget deal. She does this big, long press conference. She doesn't have specifics on any of the policy issues or any of the financial issues that she's talking about. She walks out of the Red Room, and then Carl Heastie takes to the hallway and says, there isn't a deal. I told her last night she could say that we were close, but there is no deal. I'm sending my members home, and I'm never doing this again. So, the one thing that did come out is they're saying that the number for the budget is going to be around $268 billion, which, just so your listeners have some context, 5 years ago, the budget was $212 billion. So in 5 years, the budget of the state of New York has gone up about 25%, while the population of New York has increased by about 1%. That is not sustainable. Does anyone listening to this radio station or any of you guys in the studio feel that the government has improved that's worthy of 25% increase?
Governor Hochul was begging people to come back from Florida, so I don't think so.
Well, and you know what, John? And the Ken Griffin exodus, let's call it, which I don't think is because of the pied-à-terre tax. It wasn't about necessarily the pied-à-terre tax. It was about the video.
In front of his home. In front of his home, calling him out, shaming him.
Exactly. Private citizen who donates hundreds of millions of dollars to a city that, by the way, he doesn't live in as his primary residence, has thousands of employees that have good paying jobs and help feed the economy we all rely on for our services, and who was about to develop a building where he's going to add more jobs. And Zora Mamdani stood in front of his apartment just a couple of blocks of where that United Health CEO was assassinated just 2 years ago because people were upset about the insurance companies, and people on the far left went online and celebrated the assassination of that gentleman in the most disgusting fashion ever. And he stood there and he mocked him and he put a bullseye on his back, literally.
If you look at the essence of the politics of Mamdani, that shows it's the politics of envy, which is the basis of socialism, and also with respect to anti-Semitism and the way he treats that, it's the politics of hatred. That's not productive for the mayor of New York. We got
to go. We got to go. There's some breaking news in Iran, and we got KT on. Melissa, we love you. Thank you for coming on today, and we'll continue this discussion maybe tomorrow.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBgold.com. That's ASBgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.